Billy England, I'm excited to have both of you on to talk about what I say is a story of using eBay and a local business in a downtown to create economic development right downtown. That's what I see you all as. We were talking about it at a really great eBay event where Paul Apollonia brought people in from eBay, and they wanted to hear this interview as well. So I'm excited to get you on. You guys are great, and I want to hear your story and how you work with the town. And I kind of call it the story of Stone Soup, and I mean that with great respect for all the local people. But you know, it's hard to move things when you're starting out and you're newer in an area.
Sure, absolutely. So, well, this is my wife, Amber.
Hey, Amber, we worked together.
Yeah, you guys have actually worked together before, and Amber takes care of all of our back-end stuff for our business, which is a lot. So she handles,
yeah, that's right.
She handles all of our paperwork and all of our everything except for pretty much sourcing and listing and part of shipping. She does everything else. So I'm thankful for her. So I have her here today too with us to kind of help out and also help me remember things that I forget about on the spot. So, but we started our business officially started it January 2014 out of our house. We sell new old stock, discontinued parts and accessories for restoration parts, really, for motorcycles, ATVs, marine, and small engine. So anything that we have is usually new in the package. That's discontinued, you can't buy anymore. And so we started our business in 2014 out of the house by accident. Like you hear a lot of business success stories happen by accident. I went to buy a motorcycle from a guy who's actually still a friend of mine in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And he had a bunch of parts that he wanted to sell. They were new in the package parts that they had accumulated over the years from buying out different shops and dealerships. And he asked me if I was interested in them, and I told him that I wasn't at that moment because my budget just didn't have it to buy the stuff. And he said, well, you know, I'll sell you a little bit of it or a lot of it. You don't have to buy all of it. So I forget how much it was, but I think I dropped like $200 and bought a few things from him that day. And I brought them home, and I had an eBay account because I had been selling on eBay for years since I was a teenager on my dad's account. As I told Brian at the eBay meetup that day that I was selling at like 16 back when eBay was money orders and cashier's checks underneath my dad's account, and just a little motorcycle stuff here and there and all. So anyway, I brought this stuff home and put it on eBay, and I did really well with it. So I took that money and went and bought more. And I took that money when it sold and went and bought more. And pretty much it within a few months, turned into a very profitable business. And I was really surprised. So
the difference though between what you had been doing to this new business model, so moving from whole bikes a couple at a time to moving toward having holding inventory of accessories and parts, put a challenge on our business out of doing it in our home.
Yeah, right. I can imagine.
We were running out of space really quickly. We have a 2-story tobacco barn in the backyard that I was using, and then my daughter, who I quit my job to do this a month before she was born. Just quit working in the car business. I hated it, and so I quit my job and to do this. And we were using her bedroom to store stuff. My wife no longer had a dining room because it was bins of parts, you know. So we were looking for somewhere to move our business away from the house.
We were looking for storage.
Storage, really.
So warehouse we were really looking for warehouse space. We really would be working out of it daily though, so we were looking for some temperature control and things like that.
Somewhere to plug in a computer.
Right.
So
but we certainly weren't looking for retail space.
No, it wasn't our goal.
That is not what the direction we were going. But you know, small towns often have retail space on Main Street, very, very reasonably priced. And so we really looked at what kind of opportunities that would bring to our business and how we could work that to make sure that it fit within our business model. And we found some areas where we could use the retail space and still stay true to what our business goals were.
Right.
And so it was a little over 2 years ago,
two and a half years ago now. Yeah.
that we moved into a retail space and started kind of working from that direction as well.
And we found the retail space by accident as well, because I had been driving down Interstate 95 and got off in Four Oaks, which is the town we're in, to get something to drink at this little gas station, Dunn's Grocery. And I went in there and I asked the lady, do you know if there's any retail space around here for, warehouse space around here for rent? And she said, not that I know of, but there's some storefronts on Main Street if you want to go check them out. So I drove over here and there was a little for rent sign in the window of this old pharmacy that had been closed up for a while. And I called the number and I met the guy, and I was more nervous than anybody, actually. Amber was the one that pushed me to go ahead and get the space, because I was worried about paying the rent at that point,
Yeah, and she was worried about gasoline fume toxicity in your home.
She didn't want my daughter's memories of the dining room being loaded with motorcycle parts. Of course, I did.
Right, or the smell of gasoline. Oh, I think of mom and dad when I smell gasoline. I don't know.
But even that moment speaks to the dedication that small business owners and developers have to Main Streets, because our landlord at the time, he knew what our business goals were, and he worked with us to make this old pharmacy into a space that met our goals. So he put up, for example,
we ripped out walls.
Yeah, he put up a temporary wall and moved, so created a very small front-end showroom that was just a couple hundred, square feet, and really created the bulk of the space into a warehouse space for us behind a temporary wall that he put up. So, everybody, from the very moment that we moved into town was kind of all in to make this work, because that's one of the benefits of being in a downtown is the community and how dedicated people are to making it work. So
I want to talk about that, because I live in Raleigh, and one thing I can be sure of is and I'm sure there's some decent landlords in Raleigh of commercial space, but most look like they just want to get maximum money, and they don't care if it's some type of tax write-off or something off with dead space. I mean, I've heard more horror stories in my own city than you can imagine. I've even called them up and said, you look like a slumlord to me, because I've heard 4 stories of the place you rent here. And that's a great acknowledgement of how towns know, that gentleman who owns the property probably lives there. And he knows that if we don't have a certain level of growth in a small town, we might as well just put billboards up at the entrance to our town, says, drug traffickers welcome here, and meth labs just move in. And that's what I really want to reiterate, and so important to see, because I've seen some towns where they're like, we don't want it to change. Well, guess what? Then you want it to go to drugs, alcohol, abuse, because when humans get bored, unfortunately, they tend to abuse themselves. And so I really want to showcase this is more than just a story of success in your area. It's an acknowledgement of small towns caring about their own people, and it's a signal to towns that aren't getting this yet. If you just don't want any growth, you just say, I want danger, violence, and drugs in my area. So I just want to add that, because I love that piece of it.
We have the town themselves even was very welcoming. The zoning officer was very welcoming to what we were doing. If you need anything, let us know. Our police department checks our doors almost every night.
I love that.
It's real. It really happens, And so we're very lucky, and it's been very, everybody in town wants the best for town.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it's hard to make the best, with a small town when you don't have a whole lot of traffic coming through or anything like that. So it's been really good.
Well, I want you to tell the story you told us in the room about how you started to have it going on and people walking by wondering what it was.
Well, I had told Brian Burke, I said, we moved in, so we moved into the storefront, we opened up, and then we don't hold regular business hours at all.
Right.
And so, because I would say less than 2% of our business is walk-in traffic.
Right.
And so we're by appointment only. And the reason for that is so we can jump on a deal that comes up that we have to go pick up out of nowhere. Or we can spend time putting our items for sale and picturing them and inventorying for eBay and our other platforms. And so, but we had the door, the door we locked, the people would come up looking in, knocking on the door, wondering what we were doing, and they would come in and say, hey, what do you do here? And I would tell them. And a lot of people, which was surprising to me, were kind of shocked that we weren't going to hold business hours.
Right.
The store was going to be closed except for events. We're always open for events in town, and stuff like that. But for the most part, we were going to be closed.
I think the reason behind, I think why people were surprised is because if you've never run an e-commerce business, then you don't understand the hours that go into that.
Yeah.
And so general knowledge would just be, well, you're paying for this space, you're here, why not open the door and advertise and all of those things? But when you're running an e-commerce business, you start to see those as expenses. We don't, we're having to market, we're having to staff somebody. And it's also for the specific business we run, it's a liability because we work as a liquidation. We don't work as a retail store. So we don't hold stock. So if Joe down the road is looking for a specific part, and we've advertised to him that we sell new old stock parts for his motorcycle, and he comes in and asks for the part, and we don't, most likely we're not going to have it, honestly. And then he's like, okay, so then he needs another part 2 weeks later and comes and asks again, and most likely we're not going to have it. Well, you can only do that to a customer 2 or 3 times before they start to not trust your business. And so, we need people to go online and put their part number into eBay or into Google. And if we have it, we need to show up at the top of the search results. Those need to be our focuses because, marketing to the person who's going to walk in and ask for a specific part is going to do nothing but hurt the trust that we are trying to develop with our local community. So we have to be careful about how we use our local space. We use it to interact with our customers, but not in a way that invites them to come down Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 and request it. We use it in other ways.
Well, I want to talk about it because people, maybe we'll get some photos of it, but you've done a great job in having a pleasant storefront. And then I believe I saw a sign that says, it explains it. Like, if you need something, call us. Here's how you contact us. And I'll tell you, that's one vote downtown that looks better than what looks like a burned out war zone. When many times you walk downtown and I'm going, can we at least put pictures over the windows?
Right.
Because it kind of looks like there was an accident here and no one cleaned it up,
No,
that is a showcase value over nothing.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. And we have we're actually not in the first building we started out anymore. We moved down the street. There was a auction house that closed up that was about 8,000 square foot warehouse, and it came available last July, and we were running out of space quickly where we were originally, and so we moved down here, and it was a help to us, and I think it was also a help to town because the size building that we're in right now is is good for only certain things. You know what I mean? When you have that much space in one building. And so I think it was beneficial to everyone when we moved here because we take this building, and now the man who owns the building we were in, he also owns this building, by the way.
Cool.
But the building we were in, he does custom furniture work in houses, and he's made that a complete furniture showroom. So now we have 2 buildings in town that potentially would have been empty that are full with nice things,
Yeah.
And we have a showroom area here too where we display some of our odd things that we find when we buy lots of parts from dealerships and stuff. We find old helmets, we find old gas tanks, just stuff that if somebody comes in, it looks cool,
Right.
Even though we don't use our space for traditional store hours, we do utilize it regularly. So for example, this summer, the town as a whole was doing kind of a third Thursday draw to get people to come into town. So we took that opportunity, even though, you know, we had zero expectation of somebody coming downtown and needing an old lawnmower park and walking in and buying it. So what we do in instances like that is, you know, we reached out to some of the local restoration artists that we sell our merchandise to online. And we invited them one at a time, one a month, to come down and showcase their restorations. So, you know, things like that are how we use our space. You know, so that's helping them. They're getting business out of that event. It's helping to show people what value we contribute to the bigger picture. And it's utilizing our downtown retail space in a way that's contributing to town by participating in their event. So it's really it's a win-win. So even though we don't use our retail space for a traditional retail store, it holds value for us.
Well, and not only that, we now can claim 2 new businesses, you know, downtown, yours and the other. You know, so it started to create a conversation. Yeah. Something's going on downtown to add to all the great stuff that was already there. So I don't want to take away. You already had a nice area in Four Oaks that I knew
our
of
downtown. When we came to Four Oaks, I was really blown away at how clean and nice the downtown, although it was aged, not bad, but it was just, buildings were old, everything, you know, but it was clean, it was safe, it's very safe. I would, you know, my daughter can play out on the sidewalk while we're working for a few minutes and I don't worry about somebody picking her up. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's really, you know, you feel safe. And, you know, if my door's unlocked by accident and I run out for a minute, I don't worry about somebody coming in and robbing me blind. You know what I mean? And that was a big thing for us. And I feel like it's even gotten better.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's gotten even better. And it was good when we moved here, but it's gotten even better.
Well, I want to give a hats off to the local police department as well. You know, that I've gotten to meet some of those in small towns and how great they are because they live there. It's their community. You know,
absolutely.
This is the real Mayberry that exists.
It is.
People don't know about it. You know,
and that's what it is. And some people think that that's a bad thing, and it's not. I mean, we have something here. I grew up in New Jersey, and I grew up in a town that would be considered a small town there. It's really not. Right. And it really isn't now. It was when I was a kid. And I would have given anything as a child to live in a town like Four Oaks. Have a downtown like we have. And it's really amazing. I mean, and on top of that, it's also in now. Coming to a small town for an event downtown is in. Young people love it. My generation, we love it. Millennials love it.
Well, it's also a great family thing that doesn't cost an arm and a leg, like going to a big amusement park. You know, and the towns like Four Oaks, they're having events. In fact, I was just talking to Len Stowe, that's another small business center director, and there's some place in Western North Carolina that has the Bigfoot Festival, you know, and I don't care what it is. And then Wilson has the Whirligig Festival. I don't care if it's the Sunflower Seed Festival. I've seen this grow, and it's a fun place to take the family and show them interactions and things.
And businesses in towns who are jumping on board with the idea that, you know, shopping Main Street for necessity is no longer what is happening. But shopping Main Street as an activity or an amusement is profitable, and businesses who are getting on board with that are the ones who are most successful. Right. So, you know, for example, we have a general store in town, Stanfield's General Store, and probably a year and a half ago now, he started doing every Thursday night live music. And when he started, he had hardly nobody showing. Now you walk by there and you cannot get into place on a Thursday night.
It's busy.
And that's made his business on Friday nights go up. I mean, it's impacted his business in so many ways. And, you know, businesses that are finding, especially downtown Main Street businesses that are finding new ways to interact with their customers, whether it's through events or through services or through online sales. You know, any of those ways, you're starting to see more and more downtown businesses who are struggling reach out to those different business models, and you're seeing them have success. And so when the town is doing that as well, like I said, you know, the town, you know, the Four Oaks Chamber of Commerce over the summer hosted these third Thursday nights. They organized to bring in food trucks. They organized the local car club to bring in antique cars for display. So they contributed as well. And then each of the businesses contributed within their own space. And it's almost a necessity, because it's really the only way that Main Street shops are going to continue to grow and flourish, is if they get on board with the idea that it's those types of events that really get their name out there.
Yeah, and I've gotten to work with a number of towns in their development program. And one of the big things is getting people to stop looking to one point to communicate what's great about the town. Well, it's the chamber's job, or it's economic development's job. Well, then you don't have a competitive advantage. The towns like yours, where the individual businesses understand if it's great and it happens and we don't share it online, it didn't happen. And that's what I've seen percolate and start happening. And then you start working, and then, the small business centers brought me in for training, and then they learn a little tips on it. And it's been so exciting to see, because what we want is the ground game successful, and then an echoed by the people web game. And that's where real growth and sustainability will happen. If it's all about someone else doing it, you aren't taking enough responsibility to make it sustainable for your own community. And that's what I've seen happen in your area as well. And I just want to mention that, because they don't always see it, that they understand what's happened. It's been really a joy when I've gotten to train in the area, because the people are like, take us to the next level. And and the advice I have for towns that feel they want to do this is treat it kind of like stone soup. You got to have somebody, you need to have a win. And Billy, to me, you were the win. And then people were watching, what's going on, And you go, well, we're making soup. What you got in it? Nothing right now. You got any carrots? We'd love some. Oh, you found some carrots. Let's bring some carrots in. The best way to improve your town is be successful and talk about it online and share it. And that's what you've done. That's why I wanted to interview this, to amplify it. People wonder, well, what can we do? And then, of course, I'm an advocate of, if you just have empty buildings, can we put some art or something? Maybe someone paint on glass, at least to fill in the blanks between it. And and it's such a great showcase of it, of what's happened here and how it's grown and is growing.
Right. Well, we try to, every event that we have, and most daily almost, Amber handles all of our Facebook and Instagram stuff. I put something up there once in a while from me, and you can usually tell if it's from me, not from her, for doing it.
But less creative.
Yeah, she's definitely my marketing person. So, but we have a pretty strong social media following on Instagram and on Facebook, and it's really important. I mean, we have people that will come all the time, whether it's to our events or that come to our, or just want to walk in the door one day and see if we're here, that will say, I've been following you on Facebook for however long, and I love your town. I love what you're doing. I love what is happening in town, and everything. And, and most of going back to our Third Thursday events we had with the restoration artists, most of those people I met on eBay. I met those guys on eBay, but by buying parts from me on eBay, asking me if I see in my eBay store, seeing that I was local, and asking me if I had this or that, available that wasn't for sale. And so I've made a lot of good friendships through my eBay business that have been long lasting and that are close ones now. And those 2 or 3 guys shop for me on eBay almost weekly for stuff that they are working on, looking for. For stuff, for parts for the restorations and stuff they're doing.
Well, I want to give a shout out for the eBay team, because I was so impressed and so thankful for everything that meeting some of these eBay people and realize they actually care about the community. They care about the small business. And they were very careful not to be disparaging about Amazon. I'm not that careful. They'll cut you off and kill their own children to make an extra buck, in my view.
Right.
Amazon, yes, you can make more money, but as soon as you do, when they can find out how to undersell you, they're there. And so I have no love for that. Not that I don't want you to capitalize and make money off of them, but
Sure.
I don't see any commitment to the community. And what I heard from people looking in the eye from eBay, they want to bring up the communities. They go, this isn't exactly fast, easy money, but fast, easy money's never sustainable. You make $1 million, just give me your 5,000 overnight. Right. Yeah, what do you think the odds of that are? He's making the money, not you.
Right.
We call it, Paul and I call it slow money that's sustainable. That's what we want to work
That's
with.
what it is. Absolutely. And we one of the things that I love about eBay is, it's, I don't sell on Amazon. Books for a little while on Amazon, and that's as far as I've ever went. But we, out of all the platforms we sell on, eBay is definitely my favorite. They definitely, make it seem like they care about you and your business. Their customer service in Utah, the concierge program, is unbelievable. It is just, I called last night and the guy picked up the phone. I had to call about an issue, and he picked up the phone and he said, "Hey man, how are you doing tonight? You having a good night?" And I talked to him and he said, "If you need anything, you call back. We're here for you. We have your back." It's just, they do all they can to, to support business, and small business on their platform. And, they do have Target and Walmart selling on there, and Hanes t-shirts and all that. And that's fine. That draws traffic to the website, but eBay definitely, you'll hear a lot of stuff on forums saying eBay doesn't care about small sellers or doesn't care about sellers. It is not true. You are, on the big scale of things, probably still a small seller, but we have 2 anchor stores with 12,500 listings and about 34,000 individual items on there. And I can tell you that when I call or talk to anyone from eBay, I feel like that they care, and that they're doing a super job for the amount of money it costs to sell on there. They're doing a super job of marking my items, there's lots of perks. So I love it, and if it wasn't for eBay, I wouldn't be in business, and a lot of people wouldn't be in business if it wasn't for eBay.
Yeah, and what it's doing, go ahead.
I was going to say, whether you're primarily an e-commerce business like we are, or if you're primarily retail and just looking for an opportunity to contribute to your income, then Billy's become a really big resource to that in town. We have businesses in town who have no intention of ever becoming a business like ours, but they're seeing that there's really an opportunity for them to add to their own business model and start doing some online sales, whether that's Facebook Marketplace or something like eBay, and have come to Billy and kind of picked his brain a little bit, because more and more businesses are seeing that there's value there. But it's scary, it's scary to do it for the first time. And then, like you said, there's nothing, and we've actually been talking a lot about this the past couple of weeks.
Right.
There's nothing instant gratification about it. It is like anything in business. It's a grind, and so you have to be patient, and you have to be willing to adjust and look at what you're doing and look at how trends are going and make adjustments and work within eBay's platform. The people who fight against it are really not getting their money's worth, because it's a lot of time and research into giving recommendations, and that's what you're paying them for. So take advantage of those and really partner with them, and you will see long-term success. Absolutely.
For sure.
The piece I say, and for Paul and I have taught eBay for years, and then we have our making money online while you sleep, but you have to be awake to start class.
Right.
And the piece of it is understand, what does it take to set up a retail store and try to sell the same thing, where someone could steal the copper out of your AC unit, you're responsible for it. There could be a flood, there's other things. So barrier to entry. The other thing to add to this is that eBay must have their first focus on the customers being satisfied just like you.
Absolutely.
Then they have to work with the merchants. But if they make merchants first and the other, they'll be out of business, we'll all lose. And so, so many of these people that whine about something like this can't get their hands around the perspective of it.
Right.
You need to put it in perspective with that and realize that's it. So I want to ask two things. One is, what's your advice for someone getting started? And how, as a couple, how's it? Any advice for couples working together? Because
that's a good one. We actually have some good advice for that.
So that you don't want to bury one of the other in the backyard, which doesn't help anything.
Yep. Well, I just real quick, if I can mention one thing that we actually, I want to just, I'm really excited and proud to be part of, and the fact that eBay has helped, and this is kind of something that they're kind of helping out in the community with. eBay is for us, but don't really know it. We're partnered with a company called JCI, which is Johnston County Industries, and they help out underprivileged and at-risk youth and adults, young adults, with job training and work. And we have had Amber's worked with them in the past with her past positions, and we've had a girl in here this past summer with some disabilities who literally in the area couldn't find work that she was able to do. And so we took her in here, and she worked here for about 3/4 of the summer and absolutely loved it, and now has work on her resume because of our eBay business to be able to go find a job somewhere. She was,
that's just
wheelchair, just couldn't, it's so hard for her to find a job that was, she was able to do and get any experience in the area. We're very rural. And so, it was hard. And we were able to help her, and she was just, in fact, she calls Amber about once a week asking if we would just hire her full time.
Right.
So it made her so happy. And that was something that, because of eBay, is able to happen in our community too. So, but to go to the getting started, do your research. Start out really small, like I did. Don't go and buy, $100,000 of inventory and just go throwing it up on eBay. And if you're buying inventory to sell in bulk, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. That's probably my biggest one. And if you're buying inventory to start out, or anytime, if you're buying inventory from another online or eBay or retail seller, and they're willing to sell it to you at a discount, there's a reason for that. Because if they could sell it, they'd be selling it. You know what I mean? They're not just going to do you a favor. So, and I learned that the hard way a couple times. I mean, our joke is I'm allowed to have one big loss every year.
Right.
In the beginning, I had a couple of those, and so it's taken some time to learn that. And then don't fight the system. Go with eBay's recommendations. Do your free shipping. Do free returns for 60 days. Don't fight it, because the growth that you have from that is going to outweigh your negative. And you are going to get scammed selling online. It's going to happen, and every business has losses for things. Just deal with it. eBay has lots of things in place now to deal with it, to make sure that you don't lose as much as you would have, or you don't lose at all. Just deal with it and move on. Put the time into running your business. That's my biggest, put all your energy into running and figuring out your own business.
And I'd say another get started recommendation is to remember that even though you're an online business, it does not diminish the importance of customer service.
Yes.
It might even increase the need, because your customer service is not only affecting your customers, but it's also affecting ours, because eBay is a collective. And so if somebody has a bad experience in your eBay store, they're not going to just hold it against that one seller. They're going to hold it against the collective. So, contributing to a positive customer service environment on your online platform is important for your business and for everyone's. So,
And as far as advice for us working together, Amber ran the Fort Oaks Chamber of Commerce for about a year and a half.
And a great job.
And we now have a woman who's running it, who is actually the wife of our landlord, and she is amazing too. Great things are happening. So Amber did that, and now she is, for the past year, full-time working with me here at the shop. And we have just grown incredibly during that time. And there was a lot of doubts from friends in town, other business owners in town that like to joke with us about it, that we would be divorced quickly because of it. And I mean, the biggest thing is you have to just, joke around. I mean, we joke around. I pick on Amber endlessly. I joke around a lot. So, that has helped. And, I mean, we take a break every day and go have lunch together. So that helps. And then try to have time to not talk about business. It's very easy when you're running a business together all day. And then you're home at night with the kid, taking care of the kids and all this, and then sitting down at night to just talk about business. You've got to find time to try to talk about everything and have that involved in your life too.
Amber, what's your 2 cents?
I think celebrating each other's strengths. I think, finding what each of you contributes, and not only, capitalizing on that, but celebrating it, recognizing that we're in this together. And so, I don't need to just take advantage, take for granted the fact that he's good at listing or sourcing. But, I'm also his only cheerleader, just like he's my only cheerleader.
Right.
Just like anybody in business wants to have somebody saying, you did a good job of that, or, that's really contributed. You have to do that for each other. And so finding what your strengths are, finding what you contribute to the business, and then, kind of sticking to your lane a little bit.
Sure.
He gets in big trouble when he puts things on Facebook without coming through me first.
Good.
Lane, and then celebrating what those contributions are. And then just having a little bit of grace toward each other too. I mean, you're in an unusual situation as not only people, 2 people equally invested trying to run a business, but also in a relationship, you have to have a little grace and be patient with each other. And, there's days where, he's dragging and he's feeling down or frustrated. And I'm like, no, we're great. Sales are up, and you've got X, Y, and Z going on. And then the next day, I'm like, oh my gosh, how are we going to pay bills?
Right.
And he's like, no, we're good, remember? And so you just have to, have a little grace with each other and give each other that extra little bit of support. But
yeah,
I wouldn't do it any other way. I'm not entrepreneur minded. He's our push. I mean, he's the one, he's the grind, and I'm the one who's sitting back saying, okay, like, what's our big picture? Are we meeting goals? Do we need more goals? Because he's just nose to the grindstone. And so we're lucky that we bring very different approaches. And so because of that, I think it works really well. But it wouldn't be for everyone. I mean, people who look at us and go, I could never do that. I mean, I look back at them and I say, you're probably right.
Right.
Because it does take, I think if we were more similar, we would have more challenges. Because we bring such different approaches, it coordinates really well.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
I getting set up for this interview, I don't know anything about the computer. Like an Excel spreadsheet, when I started out, I was like writing my inventory on paper in notepads and then crossing it out when I sold it. And Amber was like, no, you need a spreadsheet. So she got that set up and showed me how to use it. And like getting the computer set up for this thing today, I just I am good at like taking my pictures and getting my stuff for sale online. I can sell anywhere online. We sell on 6 platforms, so I can get that done. But when it comes to like back end stuff, the printer wasn't working yesterday, and I couldn't figure out why. And Amber had to come and fix the printer. Stuff like that. Even I couldn't do without her here. So it works out really good for us that way.
Well, this is excellent. I want to find out, number one, how can they learn more about what you have to offer? Also, I want to give a real shout out to Paul Apollonia because I don't know, I wouldn't have known of you otherwise. This is, it's over several years. He goes, there's a great guy you need to know. And we need to bring him in, and we'll be including this as a resource for our classes as well. So how can they learn more about you?
So we have a toll-free number that they can call if they're looking for anything. It's 844-NOS-PARTS or TiredIronClassics.com. The TiredIronClassics.com only goes to one of our eBay stores. We are in the middle of trying to merge both of our eBay stores somewhere so that they can find our items, everything at one time. We're actually in the middle right now of talking with Paul Apollonia about doing an eBay class, an eBay training class here in town, along with the Chamber of Commerce too. So Paul's great. So we're excited about that. But yeah, they can find us on eBay at TiredIronClassics.com. We'll bring them to our eBay store.
Great.
And then also on Facebook. I mean, we really value our Facebook followers. That's an area where we've grown slow and steady because we want to make sure that people following us are interested in what we're having to offer. So while if you're looking to buy something, the phone number and eBay are absolutely the best sources. If you're just looking to learn more about us and our business and see our day-to-day, we highlight all of that on our Facebook page.
And it's Tired Iron Classics NC for North Carolina.
Cool.
So and so that's the best way. And see, without Amber, I would not have mentioned Facebook. See, just like that.
Exactly. Good. And we'll put some links below in the YouTube video with this so that they'll have the links to your Facebook and your others. We'll put Paul and I have an online eBay class. We'll put in there and his link. And then anything else you think, because also shout out to the Chamber, the small business centers, another helper in your community as well. So we'll get any links you think to add, check them out below. Great. Take care, folks. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.